What's good, family? What it do? What it do? It's me, Coach 67 Sports TV. Shout out to the awesome and amazing LDBC, Lions Den Broadcasting Community. Shout out to the Louisiana All-American Sports Network. Shout out to M-Vision Photography and Film. If you need photography or videography for weddings, events, special events, interviews, real estate, baby showers, music videos, commercials, or parties, please hit up M-Vision Photography and Film. Also, Marlon Harvey on Facebook. And shout out to the greatest university in the world, the Southern University, home of the mighty Jaguars. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride, you dig? We getting ready to get it popping while I take care of some background stuff. All right. Let's get ready to get it going. Couple more seconds till we let a few more people come through. I take care of some more background stuff, and then we'll get it popping. You dig? Okay, let's go. Let's see who we got in the chat early coming through. Shout out to Motivation to Be a Millionaire. He said, salute, coach, chat, and Jaguar Nation. Man, salute Motivation to Be a Millionaire. Motivation to Be a Millionaire also said, I see the thumbnail has changed. I know that means you're about to go live. So that means to go to show you that you're getting all the notifications and you definitely staying up on what's happening on the channel. Man, I appreciate you to the fullest. Motivation to Be a Millionaire. Next, we got Relax and Calm Rain. These two always seem to be number one and number two in the chat. Relax and Calm Rain say salute Coach 67 in chat. Man, salute to you, Relax and Calm Rain. Relax and Calm Rain say, what happened to the interviews you were supposed to do in the scheduled live stream? Well, first and foremost, in terms of the interviews, first of all, I didn't want to just build my channel around like doing interviews in terms of different Southern University coaches or football players or whatever. That's why, I haven't done any interviews to this point. However, you right from the perspective of I had a few interviews lined up, but for whatever reason they fell through, and I had some scheduling conflicts in terms of when I was available, they weren't available, so on and so forth. So it isn't that I didn't want to do interviews. I had a few interviews scheduled, but when you have to when you and somebody else schedule have to align in terms of, hey, you have to be free, they have to be free, then hey, it's difficult. And in terms of the scheduled live stream, well, as you can see, we definitely had some news. So that's the reason why I pivoted. But I'm gonna get back to that live stream. It just It's just been delayed. That's all. Relaxing Conrad said, if I'm a Jaguar player or coach, I will be dying to do an interview with you. Man, I appreciate that to the fullest. I mean, I'm getting there. I don't think I'm quite there yet, but I mean, it is what it is. Relaxing Conrad said, this is big news. I believe this definitely makes Southern the front runner to win the SWAC championship and the Black National Championship. I think Southern already in good shape. I mean, I think it definitely can help. I don't think it can hurt. But I'm not going to say this solely makes them the front runner, you know what I'm saying? Terrence S., man, salute to you. He said, I like to pick up, but they need to get him in football shape. He has played in 2 years. That's definitely an excellent and phenomenal point, Terrence S. You must have was reading my mind because that's one thing I was going to point out. Man, salute to Adrian Crook. You know, of course, he always throwing up the middle finger to JSU. Man, salute to you, Adrian Crook. Man, salute to my brother Brent Fox. He said, just showing support for the best the Southern University content creator in the world. Man, I appreciate, man. Y'all go over to my brother's channel, Brent Fox. Check out him and his show. It's Just Me, starring Brent Fox. Y'all go over to his channel and check him out, you dig. Also, check out my brother, Jared 11 Green. Every Sunday Southern Baller show, couple Saturdays in the month. Black Man's Perspective. He says, salute, coach. Man, y'all go over to his channel and check him out also. Your boy Jake, man, salute. He said, the Louisiana Heat will get him in shape fast, LOL. All right, and of course, as you can see the thumbnail and the title for this particular live stream is Trey Holly transfers to Southern. Is former LSU running back set to lead Southern Backfield in 2025. You know what I'm saying? So, man, let's get into the whole situation. You know, this is a very interesting situation with interesting dynamics. First and foremost, Trey Holly is the most decorated running back in Louisiana high school football history. Prior to him, it was Nick Bursett. And for those individuals that don't know, Nick Bursett, he played at LSU and he went to LSU's feeder high school, which is University Lab. But the thing many people don't know about Nick Bursett started at University Lab as an 8th grader. So Nick Bursett didn't just start for 4 years. He started for 5 years at University Lab. So that's why Nick Bursett had pretty much every high school record for a running back in the state of Louisiana. However, Trey Holly, he surpassed Nick Bursett in both yards and touchdowns for running backs here in the state of Louisiana. And Trey Holly had a pretty good freshman year. He wasn't a starting running back, but he was definitely in a rotation. You know, he was definitely featured in terms of a part of LSU's offense. And after his freshman season, there was an incident in his hometown of Farmersville, Louisiana. And at one point, about 10 years ago, I was coaching basketball in Central Louisiana, and I was coaching both the boys. I was assistant coach for the boys and the girls team at the time. And since I started coaching the girls team first, my first obligation was for the girls. So the boys had a playoff game and the girls had a playoff game simultaneously in different locations. The boys had to play in Farmersville, and I think the girls, if I'm not mistaken, I think we went to Notre Dame or Crowley or somewhere. Wherever we went, I went with the girls. The girls won. The boys lost to the number one basketball team in the state at the time, which was Farmersville. And that's where Trey Holly is from, Union Parish, Farmersville, Louisiana. All right, so after his freshman season, there was an incident in his hometown of Farmersville, Louisiana, which is in Union Parish, Louisiana. And he was charged with attempted murder and other charges. You know, and as a black man here in America, in many instances, you know, the legal system said you're guilty. I mean, I'm sorry, you're innocent until proven guilty. However, in many instances, if you're a black man, you're guilty until proven innocent. So immediately after the incident happened, like the next day, Trey Holly, he went on social media and he fully cooperated with the authorities. So to me, I kind of felt like, yeah, this dude definitely innocent. You know what I'm saying? Terrence S said he's more confident about the running backs depth chart for Southern now. And Adrian Crook said, little boy football still. Adrian Crook said he played little boy football. All right. Well, anyway, so he fully cooperated with the authorities, and it's been almost 2 years since that particular incident. And this particular situation with Trey Holly, it just kind of points to how trash the legal system is in the United States of America, but Louisiana in particular. So he had a situation where there was a shooting, and he was charged with attempted murder, amongst other charges. But by all accounts, at least from what I'm understanding, basically it was a case of mistaken identity. And that's one thing about it, as a teacher, as a coach, I see it all the time, because in many instances, if you're a black man and you have dreads and somebody else has dreads, like, it's easy to mistake the two people that have dreads for each other. And I'm guilty of it myself as a coach and as a teacher. In many instances, you got two people with dreads and in the same location. Hey, you think it's him instead of him, you know what I'm saying? So I could see that definitely being the case. And another thing too, when it comes to the legal system, in many instances, if something happens in the state of Louisiana and it's a hot topic issue from a legal standpoint, this is what transpires. What transpires is just to kind of let things die down. First of all, when it comes to the DA and everybody involved, they give you these trumped up charges. You know what I'm saying? So they completely overcharge you. You can even see that in the Diddy case. Like they overcharge you big time, right? Then after that, they kind of give you continuance after continuance after continuance after continuance. And they keep moving your trial date back or whatever the case may be. So instead of you getting your date in court in like 3 months, it ended up being like 2-3 years before you get your day in court. You know what I'm saying? And they just end up dropping the case once all of the heat dies down. So what happened in his situation, according to LSU rules, you can't have like a felony charge against you and play. So after his freshman season, he had a good freshman year. Basically, he missed his entire sophomore season. And then after that, instead of, him missing another year, he transferred to Southern. So he missed his entire sophomore season, which is, one thing that could really kind of impact, what he could do on the field here at Southern. Also, this one thing that really kind of lets me know that he is innocent, from my perspective. The grand jury didn't even indict him, because in many instances, all a grand jury indictment means is basically, if they indict you, that means they believe to have enough evidence to convict you or not. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing that many people need to point out. Hold on, real quick. All right, I had an extremely urgent phone call I needed to take care of, but basically, in his particular legal situation, he was set for a court date, right? And one of his teammates at LSU, dad was the judge. So the judge had to recuse himself from the case. So he couldn't preside over the case because of a conflict of interest. Then after that, what ended up transpiring after that was he was set for a court date, I think maybe like a month or two ago. But in a Union Parish courthouse, the AC went out. So they gave him another continuance. So basically, he's kind of been chomping at the bit for his day in court. But basically, he just keep getting continuance after continuance. And from all intents and purposes, from what I'm understanding with his legal case, he just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And he's been falsely accused of these allegations. And of course, if you look at, him on social media, he evidently he's gone through some depression. And then in addition to that, he kind of pointed to being depressed and pointed to, Kyron Lacey's situation. So it's an unfortunate situation, you know what I'm saying? And, hopefully he can make the best of this particular situation here at Southern. He could come to Southern. He could pick up the system quickly. And in addition to picking up the system quickly, he can get into shape quickly because he hasn't played football in over a year. And, he can make the best of a bad situation. A lot of LSU, he's been getting a lot of support from Tiger Nation. A lot of LSU fans has kind of been in support of him. They want him to come to Southern and do well. And hopefully he can make the best of this particular situation. Your boy Jay said the running back room has potential to be better than last year without question. Adrian Crook say 4A and up is the best class in Louisiana. Yeah, clearly. 5A, of course, is the best football. In some instances, 4A could be 5A depending on which school you go to, who are your rivals, who you're going to play in the state, this, that, and the third. But Adrian Crook, right, from the standpoint of big boy football in the state of Louisiana is 4A and up, you know what I'm saying? Salute to Chuck Fontenot. Of course, we sit on the same road. Section 80, Southern University, A.W. Mumford State, and people to feel you did. He said, did he raise shirt any of his years at LSU? Well, from what I'm understanding, I don't know if, since he missed his entire sophomore year at LSU last year, I don't know if he got a raised shirt or not. However, due to his legal situation, he had to miss the entire previous season. So I don't know if he got a raised shirt or not. But I know this entire situation is unfortunate in terms of, like, basically, from what I'm understanding, he's, he just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he's been falsely accused. He's proclaimed his innocence, since this entire situation has happened. And, like I said, due to the legal system, he just kind of been getting continuance after continuance after continuance. Man, shout out to Teldrin Levels, man. I appreciate you. You're another one. One of the longtime supporters. He said, what up, coach? Man, I'm blessed and highly favored. Hopefully all is well with you. Now, in terms of Southern University's running back room, Southern University's running back room has instantly become overcrowded. And, of course, you have UTEP / Jacksonville State transfer Mike Franklin, who many individuals, prior to the transfer of Trey Holly, who's, from what I'm understanding, he probably was pinned in to be the leader in the clubhouse. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him in his situation. Then, of course, you got Princeton Kahee, Louisiana Tech transfer, who is more of your prototypical Southern University running back. For individuals that have followed Southern University football, like myself, especially as long as I have, Preston K, he's close to your Melvin Williams, your Steve Wolf, your Ryan Lewis, your Gerald Holmes, just your prototypical like third down type running back that you would see in the NFL. Of course, the NFL has even kind of transitioned more to third down type backs in terms of running backs that kind of play all three downs and that can catch the ball out the backfield and that can maybe potentially pick up a blitz. So Princeton Kahee is more of that. And then, of course, you had Amarian Duke Asbury, who went to Southern Lab, amongst the other Southern University running backs. Of course, you got other Southern University running backs that were already in the building, already on the roster. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm not going to lie, I mean, at this point, from a coaching standpoint, you definitely have rich people problems now at this point in terms of you add another running back to the running back room. And I hate to say it, somebody's probably going to get the short end of the stick and end up hitting a transfer portal. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, what happens, what transpires, whatever the case may be. And, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. And just kind of, looking at what Relaxing Conran says, he said, this is big news. I believe this definitely makes Southern the front runner to win the SWAC championship and the Black National Championship. I kind of already picked Southern to do those two things, but I think Trey Holly transferring to Southern, I don't think that's the kind of thing that's going to put him over the top. And I'm not going to lie, shout out to my brother and salute to my brother Jay Good. He and I was talking about this behind the scenes. And he was saying, like, basically, this the type of player that will fall in the Jackson State's type lap. Like, this type of player and this type of move will fall in Jackson State's lap. Instead, it end up being Southern, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to see if he can pick up Southern systems quick enough. If he could get in shape and pick up the system quick enough, I'm not going to lie, he clearly is, in my opinion, I think he's the leader in the clubhouse at this point. It's going to be interesting to see if one or two other Southern's running back ends up like hitting the transfer portal after this. But, your boy Jay, he kind of saying the same thing I was saying. He said, I won't be shocked if he starts week 0. Well, I'm not going to lie. Somebody else pointed this out in the in the comment section of one of my previous live streams. And he was saying, man, is August the 23rd, week 0? And I'm at the point now, when Southern and North Carolina Central play, I don't know, it might be like week -1 or super week 0. I don't know if that's considered week 0, but hey, even with that being said, your boy Jay, I think you make a valid point. I won't be shocked if he starts against North Carolina Central. And, whether Southern fans want to admit it or not, whether Southern coaches want to admit it or not, the players on Southern roster want to admit it or not, from a talent standpoint and from a pedigree standpoint, he's clearly at the top of the food chain at this point. Now, whether he actually ends up being a starting running back or not, it kind of remains to be seen. Can he stay healthy or not? I'm definitely not speaking because I believe, being a devout Christian man myself, I believe life and death is in the power of the tongue. I definitely don't want to speak no ill will on him. I definitely hope he stays healthy the entire season, but he hasn't played in over a year. So, is he susceptible to being injured? That kind of remains to be seen, you know what I'm saying? But from a historical standpoint, I just kind of want to touch on it. The last LSU running back to transfer to Southern was Jermaine Sharp. And Jermaine Sharp was LSU's starting running back as a true freshman. However, there was kind of similar to this situation. There was an influx in talent where you had Kevin Falk and Rondell Neely come through. And basically, Jermaine Sharp went from being LSU starting running back his freshman year to not even making a traveling squad the next year. And as a result, his junior year, he came to Southern, which is kind of similar to Trey Holly's situation. Of course, the circumstances were a little bit different. And the previous year, Southern University starting running back was Melvin Williams. And the backup running back was Lionel Nicholas, who was all-world at Donaldsonville High School. Lionel Nicholas was all-world at Donaldsonville High School. Melvin Williams was All-World at Ascension Catholic High School. Both of those schools are in Donaldsonville. Ascension Catholic and Donaldsonville High School literally play in the same home stadium, right? And of course, Pete Richardson, Melvin Williams and I, we not from the same street, but we from the same general area. We live on different sides of Bayou Lafourche. And in addition to that, he stays like probably a handful of miles away from my state. Well, either way, but we from the same area, from Barrow, Louisiana. And, you know, from what I'm understanding, Pete Richardson, he thought Melvin Williams was going to be a shoo-in to go to LSU, but he didn't know that that Melvin Williams Jr.'s mom went to Southern University. In addition to that, he had some people in his family that had close ties to Southern. So that's why he wanted to go to Southern. He ended up at Southern. And also, Lionel Nicholas, you know, some people say Melvin Williams was way better than Lionel Nicholas. To me, I think it was more of they had different styles. Lionel Nicholas was a 5 yards in a cloud of dust type of running back, big, strong, physical power back. He was kind of like Gerard Sims, prior to Gerard Sims. But the issue with Lionel Nicholas is not only was he the backup running back behind Melvin Williams at Southern, but he was also Southern University's starting punter. And he was like he was like the SWAC, like special teams, like punter of the year, whatever the case may be. Like he was the best, like freshman special teams guy in the SWAC. So he ended up winning that award. And basically he was Melvin Williams. He was Melvin Williams Jr.'s backup. But once Jermaine Sharp transferred, he ended up being bumped from the backup running back to the third string running back. And Jermaine Sharp was closer from a style play standpoint. He was closer to Melvin Williams Jr. than he was Lionel Nicholas, right? And basically what ended up transpiring was, of course, Melvin Williams had another big year, which was his sophomore year. Him and Lionel Nicholas, it was their sophomore year. It was Jermaine Sharp's junior year. And then what ended up happening was Melvin Williams became academically ineligible. Lionel Nicholas flunked off the team. So that made Jermaine Sharp the leader in the clubhouse to be the starting running back. So what he ended up doing was getting in trouble. It kind of made me think either he had gotten in trouble prior to that point at Southern or he got in trouble prior to that point at LSU. And after that incident, whatever transpired, Coach Pete Richardson ended up kicking him off the team. And Steve Warford transferred from Cal and literally walked right into the starting lineup at Southern University. So that's how Steve Warford ended up becoming the starting running back at LSU. I'm sorry, starting running back at Southern. Steve Warford became the starting running back at Southern because Melvin Williams became academically ineligible. Jermaine Sharp got kicked off the team, and Lionel Nicholas filled off the team. So it's crazy how the three previous running backs from the year before not even on the team the next year. And, of course, the previous year, Southern won the SWAC championship. Steve Wolf come from Cal. He rushed for over 600 yards. And then, of course, you know, they didn't go to the Heritage Bowl that year, but they ended up going to the Heritage Bowl not that year, but the year after that. And at the end of the day, it's crazy how that situation panned out. Now, as much as it sounds like Trey Holly situation and Jermaine Sharp situation is similar, it's not really as similar to me as the Cecil Collins situation. Of course, I talked about how at LSU, Jermaine Sharp went from being the starting running back his freshman year, rushing for over 800 yards, to his sophomore year not even making the travel squad because he had superior backs that was deemed to be superior in terms of talent, in terms of Kevin Falk and, you know, Rondell Mealy. So what ended up happening was another running back, Cecil Collins, he ended up surpassing surpassing Kevin Falk, because Kevin Falk was the feature back. Kevin Falk was able to catch the ball out the backfield. He was a good running back in terms of running between the tackles, but he was excellent in terms of catching the ball out the backfield. That's why he had such a long career in the NFL with the New England Patriots. So, and of course, he was definitely smart, extremely intelligent, had a high football IQ. But what ended up happening was Cecil the Decent Collins did a person there onto the scene, right? And he had just a phenomenal season. And many individuals had pegged Cecil Collins to be the front runner for the Heisman Trophy the next year. But what ended up happening was he ended up having a DV incident for what I'm understanding, with his snow bunny girlfriend. And in addition to that, he also had some peeping Tom allegations, right? Evidently, this girl was his girlfriend, and they had a DV situation. I think she ended up breaking up with him, and he ended up stalking her and ended up being a peeping Tom, from what I understand, peeping in our bathroom, whatever. So immediately he's kicked off the team at LSU. All right. So Pete Richardson had this track record for taking cast-offs from Power 5 PWIs, because his first year he ended up getting this running back from Auburn who was like all SWAC. I mean, first team all SEC like 3 years in a row, and he ended up transferring to Southern. And not only that, but he had already had, some other running backs. Not running backs, I'm sorry. He already had some other players that came from LSU, transferred to Southern, walked right into the start lineup, and ended up becoming like immediate NFL prospects, right? So Cecil Collins got in trouble at LSU, got kicked off the team, and he won't transfer to Southern. So this let me know how bad Cecil Collins' situation was. Pete Richardson would not touch Cecil the Decent Collins with a 10-foot pole. Coach just said, nah, man. He said, I don't need them kind of problems. I don't need that kind of stress. I don't need that kind of drama and headache on my team. Hey, I don't want him. I'm not touching him with a 10-foot pole. So what ended up happening was Cecil Collins ended up transferring to Southeastern. He had a pretty decent season. And then, because he was projected to be a Heisman Trophy winner, and not only that, but he was going to be a first-round pick. Jimmy Johnson, who now is no longer the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, he is the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. So he said, "Hey, I'm gonna take a chance on Cecil Collins," and he ended up taking Cecil Collins in the 4th round. Right, the same peeping Tom situation he had. He ended up having that same situation when he went to the Miami Dolphins, and of course he ended up getting kicked off the team for the Miami Dolphins also, and he ended up getting arrested and ended up going to prison. But in terms of Trey Holly's situation, in my personal opinion, I think Trey Holly's situation is different than Cecil Collins' situation. It's different than Jermaine Sharp's situation. It's kind of a combination of the two, from the standpoint of he got significant playing time, is a true freshman at LSU. He happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. He definitely has, pending, felony charges. And it's a shame how the legal system is so trash here in the United States of America, but in particular in the state of Louisiana, legal situation is trash. So what ended up happening is, as a result, he transferred to the Southern University, home of the mighty Jaguars. Many individuals feel like he's going to be the starting running back. He hasn't played in over a year. If he'd have sat out this season, this would have been the 2nd year in a row. He would have to sit out. He'd have to sit out at LSU, and as a result, he transferred to Southern. So it kind of is what it is. Let me look at the chat. Adrian Cook said he didn't go to class. G saying crap at Southern. Oh, all right. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I mean, but the crazy thing about it is I don't understand Adrian Cook why somebody wouldn't be checking in on him, because guess what? I had class with Devin Lewis. Devin Lewis was a freshman at the time. And Mark Orlando literally used to come by this class I was in to check on Devin Lewis. And I think Garrett Jenkins was in that class. It was like 3 or 4 of them that was in that particular class. And they would check on him to make sure he was coming to class. So why wouldn't the coach go to class and check on him to make sure he was going to class? To me, which was crazy. Your boy Jay said quarterback battle looks interesting too. He said won't be surprised if McCoy starts. I ain't gonna lie, from everything I'm hearing, they said McCoy has been playing real well in terms of summer camp. The way they talk, from what I'm hearing, that McCoy has surpassed Jalen Woods. I don't know how true it is. That's just from what I'm hearing. He said Mark Frederick said he's the fastest on the team, and of course, you know he like them. He like those dual threat running type quarterbacks, like Ladarius Skelton, Bashawn McCray type quarterback. Adrian Cook says Jalen Woods, the QB. McCoy seems to have packages he runs. All right, your boy G. So Adrian Cook is answering you. He said Jalen Woods is a starting quarterback, but they're gonna have special packages for McCoy. Quiz Nova says you don't go to prison for being a peeping Tom. No, all right, let me clarify what I'm saying, Quiz Nova. He didn't go to prison for being a peeping Tom, but him being a peeping Tom was amongst some of the charges that he was facing. So you're right, he didn't go to prison for being a peeping Tom. From what I'm understanding, it was more DV type situations. It was some type of like severe battery type stuff. But you're right, he didn't go to prison strictly from being a peeping Tom. You know what I'm saying? And of course, what you putting in the chat, you know, this YouTube. So you know, YouTube, you know, dings that type of word. That's the reason why I didn't say it. That's the reason why I use peeping Tom to kind of go with what you said. But if people, you know, looking at the chat, you right. That's what ended up transpiring. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I didn't highlight that comment, and that's why I didn't see it. But you're right. You don't go to prison for being a peeping Tom. You're 100% correct. Going to be some interesting headlines for fall camp with all the position battles. Yeah, you definitely got a lot of position battles going on. You know what I'm saying? And Adrian Cook says, Cesar the Diesel ass was crazy. LOL. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest with you. From all accounts, I hear people that I know that came in contact with him. They said he was like, you know what, crazy. So he definitely had a reputation for synonymous for being crazy. You know what I'm saying? And Chris Nova said, okay, yeah. And he said, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to say it because, you know, YouTube, they're real sensitive with that word for whatever reason. They, you know, that R word, like both of those R words, YouTube is extremely sensitive with that. So that's why you don't hear me say it. They're sensitive with the words SV and DV for whatever reason. When it comes to like certain words, like this platform is extremely sensitive. So that's the reason why I didn't say it. But you definitely 100% correct and you 100% accurate. And, you know, just to kind of, because, dang, my phone blowing up. So your boy Jay, he brought up a very interesting point. He said it's going to be some interesting headlines for fall camp with all the position battles. Of course, you know, the running back room at Southern at this point is extremely overcrowded. You know, it's going to be interesting to see what transpires with the QB room. In addition to that, you know, with the quarterback situation, Southern is loaded at wide receiver. And, of course, you know, you got 4 players from Southern's defense that made the 2 all-SWAC teams. So it's going to be interesting to see, like you said, your boy Jay, how things play out in terms of the position battles. And not only that, but what does the arrival of Trey Holly, what does that really mean for Southern University's running back room, but Southern University is a team. So it's going to be interesting to see how these things play out. You know what I'm saying? Adrian Cook said the fact he only played in 4 games at LSU lets you know how good he was. But you got to realize he had a savage game against Army, Adrian Cook. I mean, that game he had against Army, shit. Hey, you know, I mean, that was a savage game against Army, in my personal opinion. So, and I mean, not only that, but I mean, Jermaine Sharp started, he started a good portion in his freshman year at LSU. He didn't rush for 1,000 yards, but the fact that he didn't make the travel squad the next year, some people say that tells you how good he was. But when he played at Southern, I'm not gonna lie, Melvin Williams Jr. and I, like I said earlier in this live stream, we from the same hometown. And truthfully speaking, I'm not gonna lie, I felt like Jermaine Sharp was better than Melvin Williams, but I think Pete Richardson, he had a certain, I think he had a certain thing for Melvin Williams, and the fact that Melvin Williams the previous year was SWAC newcomer of the year, and that next year he ended up being the offensive player of the year in the SWAC. So that said a lot about Melvin Williams. I think it said more for Melvin Williams than it said for Jermaine Sharp. But truthfully speaking, there were times I thought Jermaine Sharp was better than Melvin Williams. That's just my personal opinion. From a talent standpoint, but not from a talent standpoint, I felt like Jermaine Sharp was better, but I felt like Melvin Williams was a better fit for what Coach Richardson wanted to do. Your boy Jay said, Coach Miller said the only starter on the D-line is Givens. Should be a competitive camp. Yeah, and then, of course, you got the other boy, the defensive lineman I always talk about. I forgot his name. Supposedly, people been talking a lot about him. They said supposedly, I guess he's supposed to be taking that Davin Cotton spot. You know what I'm saying? So, it's going to be interesting to see, what transpires. You know what I'm saying? And Adrian Crook said Melvin Nance was a tipper. And that's the thing I didn't understand, even his freshman year. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know Lionel Nicholas is your starting punter. Maybe you didn't want to risk getting hurt, but it wasn't like Lionel Nicholas was a Matt Bushart, Ruben Beauplan's type punter. Like, he was a legit running back. So why he didn't let Melvin Williams and Lionel Nicholas split time, to me, it kind of goes to show you that Melvin Williams and Pete Richardson's mind was more of the prototypical Southern University running back in terms of closer to being a third down back, whereas Lionel Nicholas was a 5 yards in a cloud of dust type of back. And then the crazy thing about it, he would be giving Melvin Williams the ball, the game would be over, and then Lionel Nicholas wouldn't get touches till like the very absolute end of the game. And that just kind of always aggravated me. I felt like he could have gave Lionel Nicholas way more touches than he gave. I don't think he had to split carries between him the way Mark Frederick did this past season. I didn't feel like he didn't need to split carries in that term, but I felt like Lionel Nicholas should have got more touches than he got. But that pretty much concludes this live stream. Supposedly, if things play out the way I anticipate them playing out, I'm supposed to have a live stream around the same time tomorrow, but we'll see. Man, salute to everybody that came through that showed some love. Salute to Motivation to Be a Millionaire. Salute to Relax and Calm Rain. Salute to Terrence S. Salute to my brother Brent Fox. Please go to my brother Brent Fox's channel and check him out. He said, just showing support for the best Southern University content creator on the planet. Man, go check out my brother Brent Fox. Go check out my brother Jared Love Green on his channel. Go check him out. Salute to your boy Jay. Salute to Terrence X. Salute to Terrence S. Salute to Adrian Crook. Salute to your boy Jay. Salute to Chuck Fontenot. Major shout out to Tedron Leathers. Quiz Nova. And everybody that came through to show some love and support. like I said, I'm scheduled to do another live stream tomorrow. We'll see how things play out. But I'll catch y'all on the rebound. Y'all have a blessed and phenomenal evening. Peace and blessings. And go Jags, you dig?